Kamaru Usman had 3 names that he wants for his next fight, all very different from each other. So number 1, he said he would love to fight Conor McGregor. Of course, everybody would love to fight Conor McGregor. It's a big money fight. That's pretty much it. Like, that's the only thing that Usman will get out of it. Money, fame, all that stuff. They also did talk about fighting each other back in the day when Usman was a dominant champion, so he is up for it, and possibly if Conor could beat Michael Chandler, it would be possible for that fight to go down, especially with Usman being so much older now. So that was one opponent. The next one he said was Wonder Boy. He said Stephen Thompson is the only guy in his generation that he hasn't fought yet, and he loves that kind of interesting style, so that's more of a different kind of challenge for himself, but I also do think he's looking at it as one of the easier stylistic fights for him, considering that he is a wrestler going up against Wonder Boy, who these days isn't doing too well against wrestlers and wants to fight strikers. Keep these wrestlers away from Wonder Boy. Now, Usman is a bigger name, so I do like it more, but the stylistic matchup is something I don't like for Stephen Thompson. We want him to fight strikers, we want to see him in fun fights, and even that's something he's calling out for now. He wants these fun strikers to go up against, not these wrestlers who will drag out the fight. But he said the guy he wants most of all, more than Conor and more than Wonder Boy, is Khamzat Chimaev, who is still technically ranked in the welterweight division, even though they said that he was going to be moving up to 185. Now with Kamaru Usman, the number 1 contender, calling out Khamzat, this might be the way they get Khamzat back down to welterweight. But he still have to make the weight, that's the thing. So he missed weight last time. He buffed up ever since that fight with Kevin Holland. He's gotten so much bigger. It looks like he's getting his body ready for 185. But now that Usman's calling him out, and middleweight has their number 1 contender fight for Adesanya, Whitaker's gonna be fighting Duplessis. Now, if Khamzat wants that number 1 contender fight, he might have to go back down to welterweight because it's open for him. If he could beat Kamaru Usman, he's getting immediate title shot against Leon or Colby, whoever has the belt. We gotta feel sorry for Belal Muhammad even more, because if Belal goes and beats Gilbert Burns, or even if Gilbert beats Belal Muhammad, they're not gonna give him a title shot over Khamzat if Khamzat beats Usman. There's no way, because Khamzat has a win over Gilbert, and he's undefeated, and he is the biggest name. If Leon is champion, they also have kind of history with each other because they were supposed to fight each other back in the day. If you remember through the whole COVID stuff, Khamzat was supposed to fight Leon. Leon was the guy, but so if you remember, Leon Edwards back in December 19 of 2020, they were supposed to fight each other, but Leon caught COVID. They rebooked the fight in 2021, but then remember when Khamzat caught COVID and it was so bad that he was contemplating retirement. Well, it's possible we get to see that fight, and back then a lot of people thought that Khamzat would be way too much for Leon, and maybe it would be the same thing today. So there is a lot of interest in Khamzat Chimaev to fight the champion. Now in middleweight or welterweight, the fastest track for him to get that is through Kamaru Usman in the welterweight division. I do like the fight with Usman, considering that Usman is much older these days, and I don't like the whole thing when these older fighters always say, I've reignited my fire in the fighting game, I'm motivated again. It's like, wait, you lost your motivation. We didn't know that. Because that's what Usman is saying. Usman is saying that he's motivated again, and that never goes good for these older guys when they say that. So I definitely like Khamzat's chances against Usman right now. Maybe not prime Usman. Prime Usman would have been an issue for Khamzat. So if Usman wants it and Khamzat's willing to cut the weight, we're gonna have ourselves a fight there. The UFC would have to put that fight on. It's such a massive fight, it's so fun. Now, some people will question it being a pay-per-view headliner, but Nunes and Pena are headlining a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure Usman and Khamzat could as well, because they would draw way more than that fight. I don't know if I see Usman's next fight headlining a pay-per-view, to be honest. I think it's going to be like a co-main event. I mean, it'd be awesome if it's a headliner, but I see him just having a big fight coming up next. And I feel bad for Belal and Gilbert. They're going to have to probably get another fight in there. Also, what happens with Shavkat? Why does nobody want to fight this guy? He is being avoided like the boogeyman after that Jeff Neal win. And it's interesting that Usman didn't even mention Shavkat's name in that interview, even though he's the logical next matchup in that division according to the rankings for Usman. Seems like he wants no problems with Shavkat Rakhmonov, man. But just, I don't know who's going to fight him now. If Usman does fight Khamzat, Shavkat would have to fight, I don't know, maybe Wonder Boy? And I don't like that for Wonder Boy. Maybe he fights the winner of Belal and Burns? Actually, that makes sense if Khamzat's able to beat Usman, because that would establish the next #1 contender fight after Khamzat beats Usman and gets that title shot. And I like Shavkat's chances against Gilbert and Belal, to be honest. I think it's a tough fight with Gilbert. I think Belal gets absolutely slaughtered out there. I just don't see the success he's going to have against Shavkat. He doesn't have the striking power to change the fight. He's not as fast. He's not as technical on the feet. He's shorter and smaller in every which way. Maybe he could find something through the wrestling, but Shavkat's going to be a hard guy to take to the ground, and his submission ability is some of the best in the welterweight division, and a long guy on his back like that is going to give Belal a lot of issues. With Burns, though, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a war. Shavkat versus Burns is a magnificent fight, and I actually expect that fight to go down. If all the moving pieces land in these specific spots, Khamzat beats Usman, gets a title shot. Gilbert beats Belal, fights Shavkat for the #1 contender fight afterward. That seems like the best order that things are going to move in that division. And I cannot wait, man.